Hello everyone and welcome to Informatica support videos. In this video, we will be covering how to configure different address verification properties for Verifier asset in cloud data quality. Informatica Cloud Services applies a range of properties to the address verification process, and these properties provide the configuration information to the runtime environment or to the secure agent, including the amount of memory it should assign to the verification process, the different properties of the reference data, whether it is a preload into the memory or if it is some other configuration. Right, so all these properties we will be covering today as part of this video. So to configure all these properties, we will have to log into the administrator panel of Informatica. So let's have a look at the demo as to how to configure and what these properties signify, or how do they help you in configuring the verifier. To begin with, let's log into the administrator service of the IICS panel. So go to the services panel and choose the administrator service. Once you log in, click on the runtime environment from the left tab. Once you click on the runtime environment, look for the runtime environment which you will be using to execute the verifier transformation or the mapping which has a verifier asset. So I'll be using this particular secure agent. Now within the secure agent, as you're aware, there are multiple property sets. So the properties in the CDQ AV property set determines how the secure agent reads address data reference data files, or how it allocates the memory for address verification. So let's scroll down. Let's look for the system configuration details. So this is over here. If you scroll down, you will see system configuration details. Expand this and choose the service data integration server, because this will be responsible for executing the verifier asset. So if you scroll down further, you would find something like CDQ AV as a property set. So just scrolling down, CDQ AV, yeah. So all the properties that come under CDQ AV are considered by the verifier asset. As you can see on my screen, there are 10 different properties under CDQ AV set. The first one is license file directory path. This basically expects location of the license file that activates the address reference data. So you might have one file, you might have more than one file. So like if you're using batch reference data or geocoding reference data, right, you might have more than one files, or if you're using single, you might have single file. So all the files that are necessary for license or that read from, this basically is the location of the license files that activates the address reference data. So you might have more than one file. For example, if you're using batch reference data with geocode reference data, you might have multiple files, right? You might have license files for a single country or for multiple countries. So based on what kind of license files you have, add the license files to this particular directory, and you can either add it to the default directory, or if you want to change the location to some other custom location, you can very well update that over here and make sure all the license files are present in this particular location. Followed by the reference data directory path. This basically is the location of the parent directory for the address reference data files. The default is Informatica PM root dir /AV data. Just take a note that if you are changing the reference data location, the secure agent is going to download the entire reference data to the new location next time when you run the address verification mapping. Right, so it's not like the moment you change this particular property, the Informatica is going to download everything. No, only when you run the verifier mapping, it is going to download the data, reference data to the newer location. Next comes the preload countries configuration. So based on what kind of preload you are using, if you are using full preload, partial preload, or no preload, the list of countries should be given over here. In my case, I'm not using any preload, so I have set no preload countries to all. But in case if you are using full preload for certain countries, you can very well specify the list of countries over here. By default, the property is set to empty. Because if you have multiple countries, just give the comma separated list of countries over here. Next is the maximum memory in megabytes. This basically is the total amount of memory that the address verification may allocate for data preloading and processing. This is the default value based on your configuration, based on your use case, or based on how many addresses you are verifying. You may increase this value to a higher number. Next is maximum number of results. So how many results you want to see for a particular address, right? That is specified over here. Next is the download of cache data. If at all you are using the cache reference data files for certified United States address processing, in that case, this gives the location where the data will be downloaded by the secure agent. If you want the data to be downloaded, sorry, this one. If you want the data to be downloaded, just say yes. If you do not want, give a no, which is by default set to no. The certified report location is the location to which secure agent will download the certified report when you select the generate report option. So only when you have the generate report option selected, the report will be generated over here. If it is deselected, you will not have any report available over here. Parallel execution instances is nothing but how many threads the secure agent can create for the verifier transformation at runtime. So usually set this number to a maximum number of verifier transformations that you expect to run in a single mapping. So by default, if you want a mapping to run 5 different instances of a verifier transformation, set this to 5. The default configuration is done considering the average scenarios of verifier execution. You may increase this value to a higher one if you are going to load the heavy verifier transformation with more number of data in it. So these are the major properties that one should be considering while configuring the verifier asset. Make sure that the license file directory path is set to an appropriate location which has all the necessary license in it, as well as the reference data directory path. These two are pretty important for any verifier to get going. Apart from this, you have to make sure that you have chosen the right input groups, the right input model for the verifier to execute accordingly. So in this way, we have reviewed all the properties necessary for address verification. Now, if you wish to update them, just come to the secure agent for which you need to update the properties. Right click over here and say edit secure agent. Click on the data integration server, click on the CDQ AVS type, and it will populate all the address verification properties. Now, once things are populated based on your requirement, you may modify the values of these particular properties to the respective locations or respective values. In this way, you have to make sure you configure all the address verification properties in advance to make sure the successful execution of the verifier. If the license file is missing or if the license within the license files is not updated, the verifier transformation will fail. So make sure all these prerequisites of the verifier properties are met. You are choosing the right input model, appropriate mode of execution prior executing verifier. We would love to hear from you about the feedback of this video. Please write us at supportvideos@redinformatica.com or you can tweet us at. Thank you so much for your time.